Hello, welcome to Motorcycle News and welcome to Honda's new EM1 electric scooter. Now before we get stuck into this review, I will just say you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. I am losing my voice, so apologies if it sounds a little bit husky. But I'm here to talk to you about quite a significant bike from Honda today. Before you click off, I know it's a small scooter, I know it's got a battery under the seat, I know it only does 28 miles an hour, but the significance of this bike is this is the first electric motorcycle from Honda for Europe. Honda first made an electric bike back in 2019 for the Chinese market, and the EM1e is here to attract a new younger generation to the brand for the next generation of people who perhaps aren't really interested in combustion and noisy engines and stuff like that, who are going to be the people that are going to be on electric vehicles from sort of now until, well, who knows when we aren't even allowed to drive anymore or something like that. But so quite a significant bike, and the fact that it only does 28 miles an hour means that it can be ridden by someone as young as 16 in the UK. So, you could do your CBT on your 16th birthday and you can have one of these. Before you ask, no, I don't know how much it's going to cost just yet, but I would imagine, or what I would expect, is somewhere around about the £3,000 mark, or that's what I would hope it would cost. And I know that Honda are aiming to do a sort of leasing scheme as well, that's going to be around about, or they're aiming for it to be around about £80 to £100 a month. So rather than owning it outright, you just have it for as long as you need it, and then it's gone again. So to test this bike, we've spent the morning around lovely Oslo in Norway. What a lovely place. It's been the perfect test bed for this bike. Absolute speed camera heaven around here, and the fact that it only does 28 miles an hour doesn't really matter because you can't really go that much faster than that around Oslo anyway without having your wrist slapped. So it's been a good morning. We've covered around about 25-30 kilometres. We rode up to a ski jump, an Olympic ski jump, up a sort of narrow hill, just sort of wiggling up, and sort of spent some time around the city as well. So what I'm going to do now is jump into the bike and tell you a little bit about what I think. So I've already told you that it does 28 miles an hour, but allowing the bike to go that fast is a three-phase brushless motor that's sort of on the rear wheel. On the other side, I believe, you've got a drum brake on this side of the wheel, and there's a battery under this seat, just under here. Now that battery weighs just over 10 kilograms, and is designed that you can whip it out, plug it into a little charging dock at home, and then charge it from the comfort of your living room or at the office or whatever, rather than trying to drag a cable out and stick it in the bike from your apartment that's on the 6th floor or something like that. That just doesn't really work. So I think this is the right way to go for this bike, and the fact that the battery sits here means that you get 3 litres of storage back here, which, is not as much space as you might get on something like a PCX 125. You're never going to get a crash helmet in there, but you get your sandwiches in there, you get, a packet of waterproofs or something like that. But, it's not the most storage, but it's nice that there's some there. You get a little cubby hole here as well. That battery takes 6 hours to charge from nothing to 100%. 6 hours. Now, that's a very long time, but obviously it's very rare that it's going to go down to 0%. You're going to get home from the end of the day, it's going to be on 30, 40, 50%, and you'll just plug it in and top it up. So those times do drop off a bit, and we can put those times below if we need to. But 6 hours to go from nothing to 100%, which is a lot. It's undoubtedly a lot, but if you plug it in whilst you're asleep or something like that, you're not really going to notice that time. So that motor then produces a peak power of around about 1.7 kilowatts, which is around about 2.5 horsepower in Brexit, and there's plenty of torque there as well. Honda are claiming 90 Newton meters for this little thing, but that doesn't mean that it's going to spin up off the line and throw you off the back of the bike. It is very, very gentle to ride. It's a twist and go, obviously, as a scooter, and that throttle connection is really, really gentle. Obviously, it's completely silent. You're just alone with your thoughts, and you can get off the line as quickly as other cars sort of sedately cruising around a city centre, and then you're up to a top speed of 45 kilometres or 28 miles an hour. So yeah, there's enough there to stay ahead or stay with the traffic if you're in somewhere like central London. But if you're venturing further afield, or if there's even if there's like a 40-mile-an-hour ring road around the city that you want to ride this in, you are going to run into a couple of troubles, because even if you just try and tuck in and try and get more out of that motor, the most I saw today was just shy of 50 kilometres. So yeah, you're going to be a bit of a sitting duck. So this is a vehicle for people that are slap bang in the centre of the city, or if they're right out the way in the rural areas and just need to get to school or sixth form or something like that, or just pop to the shops, then it's fine again. But in those really busy areas where the speed creeps over 30 miles an hour, I just don't think there's enough performance there at the moment from this bike. But that might come with the next two that we're expecting in the next couple of years. But this bike is really for those people in that inner city. Just today, in fact, as I speak to you now, I've just had the little breaking news update on my phone to say that ULEZ in London has been allowed to expand. Meaning that if your bike isn't over Euro 3, you're going to get charged £12.50 a day. And for those sorts of areas where it's heavily 20 miles an hour, and you've got those restrictive air zones as well, this makes perfect sense, because you're not going to get a slap on the wrist from producing any fumes, because it's a battery, it doesn't make any, and you can't really go faster than 20 anyway, so you don't need any more power. So that's perfectly fine. So away from the performance, because I think we've sort of done enough on that, and if you want to know more, go to Motorcyclenews.com or buy the paper for the full review. I just want to talk to you about sort of the handling and sort of dealing with the bike. So this is an absolute doddle to ride. It is child's play. This is 740mm seat height, and with the battery in place, the bike weighs 95 kilograms. Well, I know some adults that weigh more than 95 kilograms. So this is like riding a bicycle. It's really, really easy, and it's perfect for accessible transport for people of any skill level. Outside of that, the braking setup, you've got a single disc on the front, little single disc with a single caliper, and you've got a drum brake at the back, and there is linked braking rather than ABS. What's great about having linked brakes rather than ABS, though, means that, especially with a drum brake on the back, you can do wicked skids. And that's important to me because I'm a big child, and you can really make some novelty screeching sounds, which is funny. It's funny more than anything. It's not gonna do wonders for your battery consumption or your tyre consumption, but hey, it's a bit of fun, and that's what motorbikes are all about for me. So suspension-wise, then, it's very basic on this bike. You get a set of conventional forks up front, non-adjustable, and you get twin shocks at the back, again non-adjustable, and they're okay. I mean, to get around town, going over tram tracks, going over speed bumps, it's fine. I'll be lying if I said it was a Goldwing. It's comfortable enough for what it needs to be. But if you do go over those heavier holes, you do feel it a little bit, especially at the rear end, I would say. But there's plenty of squidge in that seat, to soak up some of that energy. And for the kind of riding that you're going to be doing, just hopping on and off it, going from one coffee shop back to your house, back to school, or whatever, it's absolutely fine. This wasn't built to be an ultimate pleasure vehicle. This was built as a tool, and a brilliant tool. At that, I think it is. There is one elephant in the room that we do need to address, though, and that is sort of, it's a wider story amongst electric, really, because you'll be able to whiz into clean air zones on this no problem at all, as I've said, and that's fine. But to make that battery is a very dirty process, and it takes place on somewhere else, other side of the world or whatever. So we end up with a vehicle that's supposedly clean, but actually the process to create it is still quite dirty. So it answers one question in the fact that, I can see lots of young people wanting to ride this because it's electric, because it's a good brand, because it's easy, because it looks quite nice, but it doesn't quite solve the environmental problem. It goes some way in the long run, but in the short term, there are still issues that need to be addressed. The other thing as well is that it's around 2,500 charges, and then you're going to start to need a new battery. Now that's a long time. Even if you charged it every day, I can't do the maths off the top of my head, but you've got a number of years before a new battery is needed. But I can't help but think that if you bought a PCX, you know, Honda's 4-stroke, dependable 125cc scooter with stop-start. I feel like that would last longer. If you looked after it, you know, there's nothing to stop those little 4-stroke engines just running and running forever. So, yeah, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding in the long run, and you know, we'll have to see how things work. But it's yeah, it's very, very interesting times, and you know, it's interesting to see another manufacturer like Honda getting involved and actively taking that next step towards sustainability. I mean, who knows what's actually going to happen in the very long term? We've got people looking at hybrids. We've got people looking at all sorts of different hydrogen, you know, e-fuels. The list just ravels on, and yeah, as governments close in and we move towards net zero targets globally, I think we're going to see more bikes like this appearing. So, yeah, food for thought there. I hope you found this interesting. I know I found my experience very, very interesting. If you have stuck around this long, please remember to give us a like and a subscribe, and I will see you again very soon. Cheers, guys.